Rodrigo, we are broadcasting on YouTube.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our international seminar. We are having this conversation this morning about AI, the future of AI. And we have with us here Tushar Parik, who's the country head, Brazil, of TCS Latin America. Welcome, Tushar. We have Fábio de Miranda. Fábio is our head of the computer science programs at Insper. And we have Benny Rubinstein, the managing director of global strategy and innovation at Banco BV Israel. Welcome, Benny. Thank you for being here with us. And we have another guest from Israel, that Rony Talboza. I think Rony will be joining us online in a few minutes, so we're waiting for him. But before anything, we would like to thank everybody who's watching us online and everybody that's here with us this morning. So there's a few steps that we're going through during this session. The first, we're going to show some topics about AI, and then we're going to have some cases that Tushar will bring to us that he's working on at Tata. His team is working on at Tata for their clients, and then we're going to share our vision of AI, right, Fabio, at our programs at Insper. And then we're going to have a nice debate and Q&A session. So, Benny, welcome. I'm going to pass the word to you so you can share what you had for us this morning.
Thank you so much. And Benny Rubinstein, I was born in Rio. I'm second generation born in Brazil. I emigrated once to the US, spent 15 years at Microsoft, working on the next thing. We're going to talk about next thing. That was my day job. I was part of Microsoft research on the health space. I was also the employee number 6 on the cloud and AI group at Microsoft. So about 12, 13 years ago, that was really innovation. And I now live in Tel Aviv. I've been there for 6.5 years. and I'm working with a few AI companies and also working with Banco BV here in Brazil, bringing some interesting methodologies and solutions in the fintech space. So shall we start the presentation? I'm not sure if Ronen is online. If not, I'll have to go through his slides, but maybe I will stand, but I'll have to look to the wall. It's not that I'm ignoring people, it's just I need to remember what the slides say. So as I said, we're going to share a little bit about future. It's very hard. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have any magic power, so I don't know the future as anybody else. But I have the luxury of working in a very innovative environment. For those who have not been in Israel, there's quite a lot of innovation, not only from the startup community. There's over 7,000 startups there, plus the academia, institutions like Technion, it's also represented here. But there is also, which probably a bit less known, a big chunk of R&D centers for multinational corporations. So if you think of Microsoft, Intel, Apple, Meta, you name it, a lot of the new technologies, metaverse, AI, etc., is actually being developed in Israel, sometimes through an acquisition of a startup, sometimes organically. So maybe, do I have a click? Or shall we... Oh, it's here. Sorry. It's the old model that we need to actually click to move. Yeah? So I don't know, people ask you what I do, so I listed the things that I do. It's probably too many things. I was a full-time employee at Microsoft for a long time. And then I left. I spent about 6 months learning to become an Israeli. So I went to the Ulpan to improve my Hebrew. And I also volunteered in many accelerators. So I was getting exposed to a lot of different startups. And that's how I met Ronen. Hopefully he'll be joining us soon. For context, it's Friday evening in Israel. So it's very close to Shabbat. So I hope you'll be able to join. So what's... one of the things, I think it's not, should I point somewhere? Fine. So one of the things that I wanted to talk a little bit about today is, it's a very long story, but I'll make it short. After I left Microsoft in 2014, I moved back to Brazil. And my dream with a few colleagues was, let's change the landscape of the innovation ecosystem in Brazil. So it's a very long story. I won't bore you with all that. But ironically, I rejoined Microsoft back in 2016. I moved to Israel. It was a very complex operation. My job was actually in Dubai. This is prior to Abraham Accord, so I won't tell you the whole story. But we kind of built its first team at Microsoft to say, great. So, first time I was at Microsoft, we took Azure from Microsoft Research, was the cloud platform. It was actually codenamed Red Dog, was an internal project. So we were 6 people in a room thinking, how do we sell it? We didn't have a logo, we didn't have any revenues. And also, although I was in a multinational, I had no budget for marketing. So we tried to figure out how to do that. And surprise, surprise, we worked with the greatest system integrators who were the best partners for taking those technologies to the customers. So my job was really recruiting those partners, enabling them, first of all, working with the CEOs and making sure they understand the long-term vision for cloud. In the short term, it looked like a cannibalization of the revenues. In the longer term, it was sort of, well, you want to be with the innovators or the laggards. So it was a very interesting journey. So I'll talk a little bit about it. And then, hopefully Ronen will join. If not, I'll cover the slides. Just to give you one example, I work with a few different startups in Israel of, the future of AI. I've been to many events, people talk about the future of AI. And I'll give you one very interesting example. Personally, I'm not a PhD in AI, but I spent enough time studying it. It took me about 2 years to understand what Ronen was doing. And then I said, wow, this is crazy. So it's called AI for AI, which simply means, how do you use AI to actually build AI systems? It sounds a bit crazy and recursive, but that's what it is. So I think we'll just jump into the contents. 30 years in 3 minutes. That means I started my career at age 6. As you can see, I'm 36 years old. You can move. So the point here is not to read my bio. The thing is, when we talk about Israel, there's so many books about it. There's a book called Startup Nation. The Economic Miracle, I think that's the name. In Portuguese is Milagre Econômico, a Nação Empreendedora. I recommend you reading it. It's very interesting. The two authors are actually immigrants. They're all born in the US. I met both of them in the US, Saul Singer and Dan Senor. And it talks a little bit about the main reasons why the ecosystem in Israel is what it is. But one of the things that it's interesting there, and obviously I personally connect, my grandparents were immigrants in Brazil. I was an immigrant in the US, and I'm an immigrant again in Israel, is the fact that Israel is obviously a 70 plus years old country. So pretty much everyone there, some people are there several generations, but still a lot of people are immigrants or sons of immigrants from all over the world. So my journey was a personal journey. I wanted to move to Israel when I was 16. I had a scholarship. I studied at the Ort Institute in Brazil. I guess I wasn't ready for that. So I said in a few years, I'll do that. The few years became 27 years. So when I guide people on how to immigrate, I say, maybe be a bit faster than I was. But in the meantime, I had different experiences. I went to the US, I came back to Brazil. And I think that's kind of the trajectory that allowed me to do that. Again, I did a lot of different things. It doesn't really matter. The main thing that I usually talk about is the picture that will click. Works. So this is my first keynote when I went back to Microsoft. So just to give you context, I was out in Microsoft for about 2.5 years, and I built a VC / post accelerator in Brazil. We invested in an accelerator here in São Paulo called Acelera Tech, or ACE. I was a board member, and we did a lot of different things. And then I came to this crazy idea: let's invest in startups in Israel also. Took me 6 months to explain to the board why we should do it. Obviously, it was a great investment. And then in 2016, Microsoft rehired me full time. By then, I was married to an Israeli woman, so she didn't want to go back to Seattle. I said, can we go to the Middle East? They said, of course. Here's your offer. And boom, he was in Dubai. She couldn't step her foot in Dubai. So after long negotiations, I landed in Israel and was basically living on airplanes. And this is my last interview. I had 8 or 9 interviews. The 9th was canceled. So I said, okay, I don't have the offer, so forget about it. And then they sent me a ticket to Dubai, 14-hour flight from Rio to Dubai on Emirates, and said, you have 60 days to do this presentation for 800 people, and you're going to tell everyone how to drive digital transformation in the Middle East. Huh? We'll move to AI. We'll move to AI. This is actually AI. Yeah. So here is the interesting thing. The reason I told you this story, there's a point to the story, is that digital transformation at the time was seen as, well, let's just take what you do. If you're a doctor and you're doing your prescription on paper, maybe you should do it online. Now, this is actually not what we call digital transformation. This is what we call digitalization. So we're doing the same thing in a different way. So, again, going back, Bill Gates a long time ago said AI is the future. This is quite a long time ago. For those who remember, I studied AI in high school. It was sort of an academic exercise. There was no real way to do a lot of the things we can do today with HPC and so on. We were a few Brazilians at Microsoft trying to figure out what to do. And then, oops. Suddenly we realized we are in a different stage now. So if you look at where we are, on the one hand, my digital transformation team back then had a lot of challenges that we don't have anymore because we had COVID, people had to adapt to changes. So we have a lot of power today. We have a lot of AI solutions deployed. We have lots of reports that talk about this impact in GDP, trillions of dollars. But behind that, there is a little bit of a tricky thing. Outside the amazing reports about all the goodness of AI, we have, why does it work? We have a little bit of a challenge. I'll skip this. This is a little bit theoretical, but this is the reality, right? So I spent, I moved out of research. I was leading a sales organization. The real thing is that there's quite a lot of investment in AI on the corporate world. And quite frankly, the results are not where it needs to be. And there's a long list of reasons for that. I won't go through all of them, but we're going to talk just about one of them, which is this journey on AI. So this is actually a full report. You can download it. I have the link there. This is BCG and several great organizations that researched. And the real thing, if you actually look at the charts, a bit hard to understand, but the percentage points are sort of what's your return on investments depending on where you are in AI. And the whole point of it, just to summarize, is that you only really realize the value when you get closer to the kind of the scaling and the learning thing, which frankly, most companies are not there yet. They're still figuring out their infrastructure and to solve small things. So what was the conclusion? When we started to work on AI for AI, we said, hey, there's a little bit of a problem here, because if you look at the landscape, there's about 200 or 300 startups probably that try to address the scaling issues and do a lot of tools for you to do AI, and there is AutoML, and there is RapidMiner. There's a lot of great tools there, but they fundamentally don't change the beginning of the journey, which is, well, how do you get started? You know, there's data preparation, there is building the algorithm, and all those things today are taking 70% of the time of data scientists. They are mostly manual processes, and guess what? They are prone to biases, errors, and many things. So we basically changed one of the most fundamental things of AI, which is, as you probably know, to actually build an AI system, you need two main things to work. Once you need training data. Your data needs to be good. Guess what? As for those of you who tried, it's not very easy. And the second thing is you need to deploy that, make sure your algorithm is the best. So basically, you have a back and forth. They call it a ping pong between data and algorithm, and it's humanly impossible, even for companies like Johnson & Johnson, who's one of our clients, with a lot of data scientists, to figure out what's the global optimal solution. It's truly hard. So the changing paradigm is the following. This was the, oops. So the question is, if AI is so powerful, and could it, or when humans are also powerful, right? We're not going to get to the debate of human intelligence versus machine intelligence, but why don't we use it to solve those challenges, right? Sounds very crazy and philosophical, but this is exactly what we're doing today. So again, I won't get to the whole details. I think Lauren is not online, no? So I'll just keep rolling. Okay. So again, lots and lots of things I won't cover in details you can discuss, but high performance computing, GPU processing, a lot of things that were not so easy to do in the past are available now. We can run on Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, Amazon, quite a lot of computing power. And so how do we leverage that power plus combine a PhD thesis of two of the founders of evolution, which is genetic algorithms? I don't know how many of you studied that, and then solve these main problems of AI. Yeah, you can go forward. So again, this is, you can click, there's no need to read it. This is kind of just to give you an idea. This is the amount of tools that exist. Today, somebody's going to build an AI system. There's quite a lot of tools in the open source space. If you could just, I think it's not working. Okay. You can click. You can just keep rolling. So basically today, as we said, you have a lot of tools to choose from, and data science will go from tool to tool, and then try to get to the ideal combination of the right data set for training, the right algorithm. And again, this is a trial and error process. We are talking about the future of AI, and we're actually doing a lot of processes to build an AI pipeline that require quite a lot of manual trial and error. That sounds like not the optimal thing for 2030. So again, you can keep going. I'm not going to go through all the details. And so if you just skip the whole build, you can go ahead. What you see at the end is that, again, the data science teams are today very busy doing that. And what I wanted to show here is the simplest possible way to explain you something that's super complex, which is how a genetic algorithm solve the problem. This is, you probably know, Mona Lisa. I think it's relatively hard to find somebody who will replicate the Mona Lisa, but you can go ahead. But this is a very simple demo, which is an analogy for what evolution does for the AI problem that we talked about. So you can roll the video. What you see here, it's on the right side is, so the exercise is how do we replicate the Mona Lisa? Now, we could go the traditional route and try and find the best algorithm to build the Mona Lisa and find the right pixels that eventually will get 99.99% like the Mona Lisa. But again, that would be a very complex, lengthy, and economically unfeasible project. So what we do here is we start with random shapes, which is the right side. Think of every shape like that as one of those combination of those crazy tools that we use how to build an AI pipeline. And what we're doing in the middle is, as you throw those combinations there, you have a very low accuracy level. However, using the computing power, what you do is you use theory of Darwin. So you basically take all those little combinations, and then you kind of mate them, and you kind of create some permutations, some mutations, lots of different things that you can learn in biology. And eventually, I'm simplifying a 10-year thesis in 3 seconds, you will get to the best possible solution for the problem that you have in hand. Here it's obviously a simple problem, which is to draw the Mona Lisa. That again, it's done automatically, meaning I don't have to know how to replicate the Mona Lisa, which probably none of us know, but I can actually use this technique in order to allow the AI, for AI to build the closest possible solution within my constraints. I can define how much computing power I want to use, or how many dollars I want to spend on my Google Clouds. I can define that I don't like this color mixed with that color. So it's kind of called the say it, see it. So I can basically define my constraints, and I let the AI for AI work and do that for me. So you can go ahead. Again, I want to go through all the details. This is just a real life example because it sounds very academic, and this is a real life story. I won't give you the details, but this is you can build it. This is one of the largest, or actually the largest construction company in Israel. It's called Soler Boner. There's quite a lot of construction going on in Israel, and they've built a very sophisticated AI system in order to make sure, they bring a lot of construction people from abroad, from China, from other countries, and they want to make sure that they have cameras and they can do visual mapping and use AI to monitor, for example, people wearing helmets and try to prevent accidents. This is just one of the things that they do. So they had a whole system designed. They followed the ABC, a cartilha do ABC, and they built their own AI solution. Problem is, they told us, it sounds like a bad joke, but said there's not enough construction people falling from the roof. So we don't have enough data to train the system to know what would lead us to an accident, for example. So it sounds a bit humorous and quite of dry humor, but it's a reality. There's no real data. So what we did, you can keep going. We used the same methodology. And what we built is, as you said, we didn't have enough real examples. So we said we don't want to throw people out of the window. That's probably not the best solution. So we're going to build a second AI system that will basically optimize your existing AI system. Obviously, to do that, you need to create a lot of synthetic data. I won't go through the whole process, but you can just skip the slides. And these are, images. This is actually created through the system. If you keep rolling, you'll see that there's quite a lot of simulation, creation of environments. So you have the images from the cameras, but there's a limitation on what you can do with the resolution. And eventually, if you go for the process, what you see on the right, in the very small letters, it actually creates the AI system with the right data and with the right code. So you can basically deploy that AI system yourself that will hit a much higher accuracy given your own constraints. So you can move forward. Again, those are just images, show you how that works. This is a real case study. This is not a fiction. This is a real construction site in Tel Aviv. And here you can start thinking, looking at all kinds of things in terms of the recognition of the patterns and trying to see things that were really impossible to see. What would happen if this person take a break here or goes there, or the helmet. I mean, it's a very complex thing that I won't go through all the details now, but you can go forward. I think hopefully you got the idea. So again, it's so hard to explain evolution, especially in a few minutes. It took me about 2 years to understand. But we got to the conclusion. The reality is a lot of the work to get AI to work is very limited today by human power. It's not by computing power. So think of even a great corporation like Johnson & Johnson, who has a team of data scientists in the US, a team of data scientists in Israel. There is a limit. They come to us and say, look, we're working on some device for the heart, and we've done the best we can. We can't go further with that, with our data, with our algorithms. We take that and we let AI do the work and go to the next level. So again, that uses the power of parallelized GA and many different things. So I guess the summary, if I would think about that, is they say in Portuguese, if advice was something good, you wouldn't give it, you would sell it, right? So this is free, so take it if you want. But this is kind of a more generic thing. But when I look at the innovation in Israel. Obviously, we have a lot of PhDs doing a lot of research, which is one of the reasons. The other reason is the attitude and the mindsets. And so if when I heard this story about evolution in 2019, I honestly said, this guy's a professor, he's super smart, he's got a PhD, he probably knows what he's talking about. He actually has another AI company in the education space that's quite successful, so he's not completely crazy. But it took me a very long time to really believe it. And again, the real thing here is, besides your IQ or your emotional intelligence, is how fast can you adapt to changes. And AI for AI is the kind of thing that is, even for companies like Google and Microsoft, it's a little bit of a change in paradigm. It also has implications in jobs. We're not going to replace the data scientists, but as Ronen says, the data scientists that can use AI for AI may replace the data scientists that can't use AI for AI. 5 minutes, we finish before that. So again, the whole idea is we can't really solve the same problem with the mindset that we have when the problem was created. So once again, I've been on the technology space for 20 years. We see a lot of innovation on the cloud platforms, but you don't see much innovation on how data scientists operate today. You see tools that may make them a little bit more productive on what they do, but they still do it the same way they've done. They do exactly the same process. And what we're doing is we're flipping the process and we're saying, maybe let's just switch the pyramid that has the data preparation, cleaning, blah, 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 blah. Let's flip it outside and let's leave it for the end once AI can actually identify the best way to do that. Go ahead. Well, who will create this world? There's a whole debate, whether it's...
Before we move questions, I would like to pass the word to Tushar. So Tushar prepared a few cases to show to us today. So Thais will help us, she will project them. And I think everybody could make the presentation and then we move to questions. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah. So thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you for your excellent presentation. Very good morning. Bon dia. Thank you for the opportunity, Insper, to participate on this session. Very good morning once again to all the viewers who are assisting virtually, and also to our customers. Some of them I see here. So nice to be here with customers and partners, and also academic excellence from Insper. So really thank you for the opportunity. My name is Tushar Parikh. I always say that I am from India, living last 11 years in Brazil, but by heart I am Brazilian. So I always say this. So I want to start with that. I represent TCS as a country head in Brazil. And also I take care of the business unit, which is banking, financial and insurance segment across Latin America. Regarding today's topic, and again, it's a pleasure being here to talk on the artificial intelligence. Let me step back. No, artificial intelligence is not new. It is there last 6 decades. Why I say last 6 decades? Because John McCarthy in 1956 coined first time the work artificial intelligence. So last 6 decades, we are in artificial intelligence mode, but the adoption and the evolution took time, which I will cover some of the things in my slides. Why? No. And if you see 1966, Elisa was the first chatbot created using artificial intelligence. But technology is moving fast, whereas adaptation of AI is taking time for the maturity point of view. If you see 1997, we used to play chess first time on the computers. That was based on AI. If you see 2002, the Rombo, which is like cleaning your house, was being on AI. If you see 2002, it was mostly on the things like adaptation of things digital. Nowadays, Alexa, Google. And if you see recently the evolution, many of us in Brazil today use Waze. to go from destination A to destination B. What it is artificial intelligence. It is crowdsourcing data, moving how the traffic will be and what time you will be reaching to the destination. So it's all artificial intelligence, all AI. So today, going to the next slide with this context. Thank you. So today with this context, in this slide, I'm explaining mostly on banking, financial and insurance segment, focusing more on one segment, considering 10 minutes will not be able to cover, but it's applicable for energy resource, it's applicable for telecommunication customers. What we see as an adaptation of AI in BFSI industry, technology is having a lot of advance. Digital transformation is happening, but banking and especially in Brazil, it has a lot of regulatory and compliance risk. So it is important that all the technology advancement which are happening at the same time, how as a segment, as an industry, banking and insurance are focusing on regulatory and compliance. We are seeing a lot of disruptions, innovation coming from fintech, from insurtech in the market. Having said that, business drivers are same, being it energy resource or being it telecommunication, how to improve our customer experience, how to increase operational efficiency, and how to bring speed to the market, your products and services. And based on this, what we see is that there is abundance of data, abundance of technology to provide the power of computer and storage, which is now handy, and provide that in evolution of AI, being machine learning with algorithms. And we are seeing that the maturity of last 3-4 years of AI is evolved. It will go more on the faster track. In the current state, if you see, sorry, and don't take it wrong when I say AI adaptation is still in early stages. What it means, I don't have the pointer here, but if you see the first point, AI adoption still in early stages, what I mean by that, it has a great potential, but still yet to be leveraged in a right way. And if you see many system point of view, technology point of view, we have been using AI. People who are from technology here, we are using AI or automation in a different way in our applications, in our development. My teams have developed 20 years back some of the things which we never know that it is AI, but then it's automation, it is creating more on the technology side. But again, as I said, we are still in the process of evolution, which can go future and future point of evolution. When I say future state, we need to see how in TCS, the way we are doing is AI studio. We have artificial intelligence studio for different industry, being it healthcare, being it banking, how TCS can provide the business transformation on AI for our customers. This one slide is a prominent use case on a BFSI industry, but also applicable to different industries, being it a customer journey. If you see the first part here, customer self-engagement and self-service. There was a time when we used to have a chatbots through web, and after that through mobile. And now we are in a stage of Web 3.0. What Web 3.0 is? The future is coming towards AR and VR, which is more like metaverse. And AI will be the power for metaverse. So on the customer experience, it is moving on that direction. If you see different channels, your consumers talking to you through different channels, it was originally through emails. It was originally through different channels of propensity. And now, if you see as a credit card owner, if you want to talk to your banks or if you want to talk to your suppliers, you have to go through contact centers. And that contact center has to be smart to react. If you are in a retail store and your card is not working, and when you call to contact center, they should know why it is not working, and you should get a solution. And robo advisor. This is one of the case study. What we have seen is, if you are investing in stocks, if you're investing in mutual funds, in past there was a script which was being used, and now it's robots. Robot will check your profile, give you advice, and then you say yes or no. So it's moving in that direction. If you see mid and back office operations, there is always an automation towards synergies and providing the AI engineering. And last, it is moving in the cognitive way, that how artificial intelligence will provide auto learning, self-learning, machine learning to provide the IT solutions on your mid office or back office work for any industry. Smart analytics. We are seeing voice analytics for compliance and marketing, but at the same time in banking industry, it was mostly on the identification of risk and how AI can help in those service and these case studies. I will give one more platform that all the organization in Industry 4.0, in TCS we say Business 4.0, it's moving towards autonomous enterprise. That how you create more platforms, how you create more products, which will be more autonomous, creating and adopting AI. I'll give one example, Ignio. Ignio is a platform which is more cognitive infrastructure solution. This is a solution based on AI, based on machine learning, that if your infrastructure is working and you put a layer of Ignio, which cognitively will tell you that your systems are up, applications are up. If there are some errors, they will automatically correct so that you don't need to worry 24/7. So those kind of platforms are available where organization is moving towards autonomous enterprise. This is a simple and very powerful case study of TCS where ATM machines was completely being manual, and with AI, we created all the manual testing to be automated testing, which means, are you pressing correctly the numbers? Your face in ATM machine is right. Is it not a robot who is trying to crack the password? And everything is being done through automated, through AI, and TCS is doing for 4 out of top 10 clients globally, all these through AI. Some of the case studies in different industry, being it retailer, if you see in retailer, if you go to Pound Zucker or if you go to St. Marsh, they know the data that how much Coca-Cola was sold last week. Next week is Halloween week. What things will sell more? So all those data is being used by retailer. It is powered by AI. And TCS has created a lot of solution on the retail industry as well. If you see on the banking side, in past, you need to go to branch, but at times now different channels provide automated solution and response to your queries. So those are kind of scenarios we do through leading bank. In terms of our own employees, TCS is more than 600,000 employees globally. We have prepared AI for our own employees. They want to talk to HR, they want to clarify some claims, they want to ensure their travel requests if they are traveling. Everything is powered by AI. And those are the case studies which we see in TCS for different customers. Few challenges I want to highlight, and maybe you can reflect for your own organization, that these are the 5 top obstacles or challenges which every leader have to look to adopt AI. One is about right skills and expertise in your business domain and your technology. Do you have the right technology team? Do you have the right business people? Second, how you create a business case or MVP to convince your business that why we have to use AI in your case and the business case. So business buy-in. Third, in AI, there is always a risk of data, the live data, and also the quality of the data. If you don't have those data which is right with the quality, your AI will not give that output. And obviously, infrastructure for AI, we need a lot of data, we need a lot of power to execute. And last but not the least, the governance of AI, that how you leverage AI without impacting your LGPD, without impacting your data privacy, without impacting data security of your customers. So these are the 5, I would say, hurdles, obstacles, which all the leaders should take care of it. Thank you very much for the session. I just want to mention TCS is part of Tata Group. Tata Group is a conglomerate from India, and we are more than 154 years. And TCS is one of the largest IT provider providing services globally. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Really good. Now let's move to Miranda. Miranda will.
Yes. Thank you. It's such an honor to present after Tushar and after Benny. Does anybody have the pointer, please? Oh, do you take pics? Okay, so I'm very glad that we're pretty in 100% agreement with what Benny and Tushar said. I assure you, we didn't coordinate on that. We only coordinated the schedule, right? So we kind of share the same vision. But at Insper, we are forming people to work with AI and machine learning and deploy. And I'll do a very short talk to present you what are the assumptions that we take into account when designing our curriculum. So let's go. Okay, thank you. So the first one, AI is real now. For anybody that studied computer engineering in the 90s, just like Benny and I, AI was a specific class that you took, but you'd hope that you would one day apply those concepts. There wasn't enough data, enough computing power, and so on. So it's only recent that it became very commonplace, very applied, very oriented to solving problems. Just as an example, according to the Distrito Incubator, our competitor, we still don't have, we're still starting the Innovation Hub here. Brazil has 702 AI startups, and half of those are close to Insper here in São Paulo. So you see that in order to have a startup, you need to see a viable business. They aren't just burning money, though some may be. And AI also won't be just for computer engineers, programmers, and so on. It will be a part of the tool of every professional, economists, lawyers, and so on. How is Insper preparing for that? Just like I said, it will impact engineers, lawyers, economists. We included computing and data science and a bit of machine learning into every program. So even our lawyers code and train models of text classification and things like that. And also all the computing programs include more advanced AI and machine learning. And for those that want to go even deeper, they can do a trail of electives, even the students of law, economy, and so on, into data science, AI, and machine learning. So we have students that range from knowing how to apply, how to develop an AI solution, to being experts on the field, even able to work in deep tech and advance the state of the art. Those are the undergrads we deliver to the market. It's also another changing paradigm. Before, you became an expert in AI doing a master's or a PhD, but you don't have enough PhDs to supply the need of the market. You need to teach this before. Just some examples. We have an award-winning program, a capstone program here at Insper, recognized by the National Industry Confederation. So companies approach the Innovation Hub, and we find a capstone team of engineering students and other degrees also to solve a problem for that company during 6 months almost working full time. So we had sort of a 40% of our projects include AI or machine learning. Just some examples of things we've been doing. For instance, running now a project for keyword detection from audio signals. So before, instead of transcribing the audio to text, then looking for the keyword, you go straight for the keyword in the audio. I won't go into detail into everyone, so just looking at the titles. Cancer detection in medical images, debugging and auditing machine learning models deployed in production, self-driving vehicles, planes, drones. It's very popular. The companies need a lot of that, and we've been doing. I guess there's always at least one capstone program running that involves a self-driving something here. And also for the industry, a predictive model to speed up or to do it on a timely fashion the maintenance of the wind turbines, the generators, and so and on and on. So how do we see AI? Again, not an isolated subject. We see this inside a process that starts with user-centered design. Who has pains that could be solved by AI? What are opportunities for AI? And this is a large part of people that graduate from Insper. Then, really applied AI, machine learning, data science. We always have a problem of a partner that we can bring a state-of-the-art technique to solve it. And this also talks to explainability, data governance. You don't need to just have a Jupyter notebook running a neat solution. You need to deploy it, monitor it, and on and on. And also entrepreneurial AI. How do you make a business based on AI or solving a problem with AI? So we're infusing that into our curriculum. So the latest news that we have regarding to this is a class named AI Startup that will prototype 1 year from now into the computer science undergraduate program. So instead of teaching a generic entrepreneur class, they already will know AI and machine learning going into that, and they will look into companies and problems that can be solvable by AI. And we walk out of that with a business plan for a new tech company based on AI. And we also have in this program an AI and machine learning sprint session, which is a session of a month without classes. They only solve a client's problem that companies approach us with AI problems, and they keep working for the clients, sort of a mini capstone into every semester. I mean, we have sprint sessions into every semester. The AI and machine learning is into the end of the second year. And what's the idea? When you look at the panorama of AI startups in Brazil, we notice that some innovations that arrive in the state of the art take a long while to arrive in the market here in Brazil. We hope with this initiative to make it quicker. And that was all. So I mediate from now.
Yeah. Thank you, Fabio. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
So, Fabio, I think the best way that we do it now is you run a first round of questions, and then we can open to all the other colleagues to make questions as well.
Sure.
I have one question myself, but I want you to do the first round.
Okay. Since both Benny and Tushar have extraordinary international experience, and you are both familiar with Brazil, is there any segment or strategy that you'd recommend for anyone wanting to start an AI company in Brazil, focus on that technique or in that niche of the market?
You want me to start? Okay. Yeah, that's a very broad question. Again, I would like to go back. I didn't get to summarize the point of what I was trying to get is, let's be honest, I think AI is not an innovation anymore. AI is a mainstream technology. what's your innovation is, how do you really get that to do the things, not the things that you're struggling to do and just get a little bit better, but how do you get the things that you can't even imagine doing? That's the real innovation. So that's the first change. With all due respect, I think that, I am not so close to the ecosystem in Brazil. I think there's a lot of great companies that are solving some pain points, whether it's in e-commerce, whether it's in fintech, and they're great, they're getting fundraised, etc. I'm not sure there are that many that are looking of really not just improving a process, but doing it in a completely different way, or even not having to do that anymore. So I think my main suggestion is that I think that, in Hebrew, you have the word chutzpah. Chutzpah means I will dare to do something that sounds completely insane, like the whole evolution thing. How do you do AI for AI? Sounds insane, and it's real. So how do you get more chutzpah? How do you think not just how to improve slightly in process, but how do I think about how not to have to do this process again this way?
In addition to my colleague, I will say AI and data are new oil, correct? It's like need to be there. Without AI, any business will not be efficient in future. So talking about startups and innovation have to be harnessed adopting AI. So any startup or any business want to accelerate, they have to evaluate and use AI in their business. So Brazil has a big ecosystem of startups, and especially this area, a lot of startup companies and startup ecosystems are available. I think it's just a identification of a customer frustration, providing the solution using AI. That is a message which I want to give to the startup and the entrepreneurs.
Thank you. Rodrigo, you want to do yours? I have a curiosity. I don't know if you know, but I studied computer science. I studied AI as a simple discipline in the program. And so I'm not an expert in AI, but I'm asking this question more out of curiosity than anything. I'm always curious about bias, human bias, right? If we're building intelligence based on some assumptions that we will make as developers, right? Well, suppose I'm the one building an AI solution. I'm always worried about human bias. I take a lot of assumptions when I'm doing that. What do you think about that? Is that a risk? I'm always worried about this.
I can take this first. See, AI, as I mentioned in the start, in one of my slide, it is more about right productive data and the quality of the data. So this human bias, when it comes into picture, if you don't have the solution of AI with amplified amount of right data with quality, the solution of AI can have non-productive outputs. Okay, I have seen some of the crazy videos on AI when the robots are getting built. And robot is learning from behaviors, and at times the person who has created a robot is slapping the person. No, those kind of videos I've seen. So there is those kind of bias, and how to adapt with the right structure and those challenges which I explained in one of my slide will be key to be out of bias of human and thinking the harnessing the AI for the business solution. Maybe that is the take I say from my side.
Yeah, I agree, but I would add to that, again, the Israeli style is never to agree too much, so we always pose a different challenge. So the challenge is not in AI, the challenge is in human beings. We are all biased. I'm biased, you are very biased, he's very biased, we are all biased. You step on Guarulhos airport, first time in Brazil, and you look at something and Brazil is blah. That's a bias. Everyone has a bias. So that's not something we're probably going to solve, especially with technology. I spent about 10 years in Microsoft as part of an initiative called Responsible AI. So what it means is, as the people, the scientists, the policymakers, the CEOs of companies, the governments, it's not like, oh, AI is evil because it's biased. No, we are all biased, and we know that, it's a fact. So how do we make sure there's some governance, some principles, and some things that both corporations like Meta and Microsoft and whoever, and governments and different bodies will embrace and comply with? So that's different than regulatory. That's more ethics in AI. There's a whole course on that, in Brazil, but abroad there's a lot of training. And so again, it's not really, at the end of the day, what you said about the robots, hitting the guy, well, it's not different than a child that's not very well educated that will hit his father, right? So basically, there's a way where you train, and this is why when you think about AI for AI, the problem is not the AI. The problem is that the human being, the data scientist that's building the AI model is biased. And so it's not that he's a bad person, it's just that we all have limitations. So if we can get to the point that we can, create a set of values and principles as any organization or society needs, and make sure that that's part of the design principles, and hopefully automate that, so there's no human being that would come in and say, actually, I think differently, then we'll be okay. It's not very simple, but it's very straightforward.
Can I comment on that? I think Fabio can add something, but just to make a comment, suppose I'm the AI algorithm and I go to the web, just to make a counterpoint of what Tushar said, and you look at the data. And the web nowadays is, if you're looking for web data, there's data that says that Fabio is a great guy. And there's also data that says that Fabio is a bad guy. And also Tushar, right? It's fairly polarized. So what would the machine learning process, right? Because the machine could be confused. How would that work, Fabio? Maybe you could help me with that and make extra comment. But if we're doing it based on data, there's even data that the Earth is not round, right?
Yeah, there's even a researcher called Yannick Kircher. He scraped lots of data from the web, including Reddit, which is a forum that many of you may know. And he trained a large language model, sort of a conversational robot. And it became the most prejudiced, hideous person in the world. Racist, and I mean, racist was the slightest thing that it was. So that's a huge problem. It's not totally solved. You see, even in GPT-3 or some famous models that OpenAI or other companies are even selling, that you can uncover that, okay, some hideous data point is still lying there that you can elicit through a specific input. So, but there's just like Benny said, ethics and AI is a very hot topic. Companies have made Google have hundreds of people working on that. The topic of fairness, I mean, how to balance the classic example. People of brown skin get less credit, get more easily tagged as criminals and things like that. So this debate about fairness in AI, how to compensate for that, how to avoid using that data, explainability to, okay, if you're denying credit based on skin color, you can't consider that decision, but it's far from being a solved problem. Okay, does the public here have any question? Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Hi, I'm Marisa from magazine Época Negócios. From what I understand, you said that many companies are doing it wrong. They are like throwing billions away because they are not getting to where AI should be getting. And what are they doing wrong exactly? Or maybe it's just a question of time. And is that delay AI in a way? Are we being held up because of that? Because they are not doing it the way it should be? And how is your system really solving that? And do you think your system is the future of AI? Is the way that it should be done? Thank you.
You want to start addressing the first part? Oh, it's for me. Okay. You have a great slide. So I didn't. Yeah. So I didn't quite say they're throwing billions of dollars away. What I said is, and this is not actually my personal opinion. There's several surveys done by McKinsey and BCG and so on, serving CIOs, and they just to rephrase that. The question is, I know success is a relative term, right? So are you being successful? Of course, everyone has their own definition of success. So I think there's no question that, I don't remember the exact numbers, but you can look at the report. The vast majority of companies believe that AI will bring tremendous value, and thus they are investing on that. The question is, perhaps their expectations were way too high, or perhaps the way they are running that process is not the ideal process, okay? So there's a dozen different reasons for that, and we can go through many of them. But again, when you say, when you talk about companies like evolution, once again, if you even look at more generically, like Forbes in May published the 5 things that will transform the world, etc. And the first, it says that AI and ML will change the scientific process discovery. So again, when I was at Microsoft, most of the things that we did are things like we just saw here, which is specific solutions for banking, for specific solutions for health, and that's all great. But then the process itself of building AI systems hasn't been improved. This is why we believe companies like Evolution will significantly improve if you go back one step for how do you make that investment better, because it's more economically feasible, right? There's a concept that people talk about called the democratization of AI. Microsoft and Google can invest a lot in AI. Can every organization in the world invest what's necessary to make AI work? Probably not. Do we have enough talent? Let's assume we have budget. Do we have enough talent in the world to do that? Can you hire a bunch of data engineers and data scientists that are senior, that have the experience that we need? We can't find them. Even in Israel, we cannot find them. Even Microsoft cannot find them. We are hiring 2,500 people, I believe, in Microsoft in Israel for R&D. You can't find those people. So there's a lot of challenges that are, again, if you can automate a banking process, you can probably automate a big chunk of the process to actually create and deploy and maintain, which is the most important part, the AI ML systems in production. So this is why we think AI for AI is the future, because eventually, as you automated the ATM process and lots of different things, you can automate part of the work done to build AI systems and to make sure that once they're in production, they remain unbiased and valid throughout a long lifetime.
You can, but I will just pass it to you in a minute. I would like to hear Tushar.
I just want to add, as a technology partner, as a growth and transformation partner for our customers, what I feel AI, if it is being utilized for solving the problem, you can really create more growth opportunities for customers and increasing efficiencies to increase bottom line as well. When I say this, if you see healthcare industry, where more predictability, more harnessing power of AI is coming in surgeries as well at times. In knee surgeries in India, mostly the precisions of cutting and putting the knee, those kind of things are creating more success ratio in the healthcare industry. If you see retail, I was explaining about customer segmentation or neighborhood, where you will get more product of that selling. So those kind of things, we as a technology partner help our customer to use AI and algorithms. Due to this new power and due to issue of mainly on the cloud, we are able to provide more optimized solution to our partners. That I will say. Thank you.
Really good. I will add something based on your question, because it was really interesting that you brought the future of AI. And we opened the seminar with a professor from Vanderbilt, David Owens, and Dave brought a perspective that there's no innovation without adoption. So if we're talking about the future, and I thought, and then I want to address that for Tushar, because I think Tushar made a really great point on his presentation about adoption. And you brought, I think, 5 points of adoption. And my question for you is, which, if you had to bring, to rank them and say, these are the top 2 challenges in the future of AI in terms of adoption, which one would you rate as more?
See, from those top 5, I think 2 things which are fundamental is obviously the governance part, that how the business case of governance, considering the data privacy, data security of your consumer will be key. So governance on the overall solutioning part, governance on the overall data part will be key as number 1. And number 2 is obviously the business and technology domain. Because if you don't have right business and technology domain to implement that AI for your products and services will be a challenge. Because the rest other things you can try to like convincing to your top management about business case will fall in place if you have these 2 things in place.
Really good. And do you have anything to add, Fabio, about the future of AI?
No, I think it's gone. We have a saying in the AI community is that as soon as it works, you stop calling it AI.
It's never ready.
Yeah, for instance, the neural network is used for security that can detect a person, or the biometric systems into very buildings that just look at your face and let you in. People stop calling it AI because it's working. So I guess the future is bright, though everything that works pretty well will be just a feature of other systems. But that's what I have to add.
Really good. Any other question? You want to add one more? You have one. Okay.
Yes. I think when Benny responded now, he read my mind a little bit. Yes, AI. And I was thinking when Fabio was presenting and considering to Charles and Benny's international experience, we are talking here about AI, how AI is not anymore an innovation, and we are at a very good educational institution for undergraduates, and how you see we can take AI to the basic education, and considering that Brazil has a very, very sad reality about access to internet and 5G technologies, and we saw this at the pandemic period, kids, they couldn't study because they couldn't access internet. So we are talking about something that's going to rule the world someday, and we don't have kids learning about that, lots of kids, and just a small part of the students can have access, and how we can deal with that, considering the future and considering that we are here with international experiences, big companies, a high educational institute. So how do you see that? If you your international experience have solved, how can we deal with that? Because I am concerned about that. When you talk about talents, if you don't start from the beginning with the kids, how are you going to solve this? So it's a concern that I have.
So maybe I can take this in 3 parts. Okay, I think very good question. It's about future and future of students and the consumers who will come out of the colleges, correct? So I will try to answer in 3 parts. Okay, first part I will say AI is like a technology which can be utilized in giving solution. I'll go further detail what it means. As I mentioned, AI is there last 60 years. And last 20 years back, my colleagues have done programming to do some automation. It is already there, but we never mention it as AI. And as Fabio was mentioning, once it is working, you don't say AI, it is a product, correct? So AI is already there. And in that, if you see any business, needs technology to run the business, because every 3-4 years there is disruption in the industry and the business models are changing. Industries are blurring. If you see healthcare is working on wellness, insurance working on wellness. So everybody is working on the horizontal service line rather than verticals. So having said that, AI needs to be harnessed in creating solution, and it should be continuing it as an innovation to accelerate fast. That is first part. Second, about infrastructure piece, you mentioned Brazil. I am from India, living in Latin America last 18 years. Infrastructure is key. At times we say 5G, but still 4G is not there in some places, correct? And during the pandemic, students were having challenge to connect remotely. So obviously, infrastructure is a core for any technology to be utilized. So that will evolve, and I see Brazil or India, they are moving towards 5G, which will create a next disruption in the industry. Okay, which means you will have more velocity of bandwidth, you will have more access, and I'm sure every 3 years your products is obsolete. You will not be able to use the same product after 3 years. So that is the second part, which is key on the infrastructure piece. The third piece on the talent. In TCS, we keep on partnering with the universities through our coin, through ecosystems like Innovabra or Kubo as well, where we are working on the education piece. And what it means, it is developing the future talent. And if I go in the school time, we have a program called code.org. Code.org is a program of TCS on basis on the STEM, where we focus students from 12 years to 16 years in the schools, and we keep on explaining what technology is, and we create that idea that how technology is helpful for future. So that has to be injected in education of Brazil as a DNA to all our future generation coming. So I think that is the key part, because the jobs which we have today will be different after 20 years. So my say is that Insper and other education institute in Brazil has to keep injecting those very early to the students. I hope I able to cover all three parts.
Yeah, may I just add something to
please.
that? I agree with what you said. There's a story, for example, 3 years ago, lots of public schools got 3D printers, robots that cost half a car and things like that. But nobody on those schools was trained to operate them or to use them in class. So they just rested there or were disassembled for parts and things like that. So by this, I want to bring up the idea that first things must come first. For instance, Brazil is lagging behind at PISA on quantitative thinking overall. So, I mean, as a country, you need to focus on those basic competencies: quantitative thinking, math, critical thinking. Once that gets achieved, then I think we'll be at the point where 5G will be make a difference. Thinking about technology as something that solves problems. I mean, there's a whole pyramid we need to build in order to, okay, now I'm at the point of using AI or robotics into the basic formation levels. So how Insper could help? I mean, we could do outreach, and we do. We bring people from public schools to the Fab Labs. We have an aggressive scholarship program and things like that. But I guess we could also define those learning goals of critical thinking, quantitative reasoning, things like that, and help the public debate see that, okay, it's a sort of a waste of public money sending robots that cost half a car to a school that barely has math teachers and things like that.
I want to listen to Benny, but just to jump into what you just said, we are also doing one thing that's very interesting here. that is, I saw Jessica and Milena from my team, and I remembered we are doing the Women in Tech initiative where we are trying to bring more women because, as you said, the challenge of bringing women to the STEM, it's fundamental so we can eliminate all the bias that we can run into because women are important in the AI game, right?
Yes.
We want the more diversity as possible in this game so we can eliminate bias, right?
Yes.
And then we have this Women in Tech initiative where we are trying to do boot camps and to be more, to foster more women in computer science, engineering, and we also have the Black in Tech initiative where we are trying to go all the way back to the midterm and basic formation and to form more Black developers. So this is also very important in terms of education and diversity in AI. Let's listen to Benny. We're arriving to the end of the session. We're a little bit late in time.
So I have 30 seconds. I'll speak fast. Thanks.
Sorry about that.
I got to know.
I'm the timekeeper. They call me toxic stress.
It's okay. So I want to repeat everything. I usually like to disagree, but unfortunately, I agree with everything was said. I wanted to add one thing, which is, all the things that were discussed here, obviously important. They are the fundamental. I'm also a board member in a organization called Polo do Interior Paulista. And we are doing that. We're the first region that will get 5G. We have Women in Tech. I mean, we're sort of doing exactly the things that are discussed here. But what's missing, and we have Microsoft doing capacitação, and all those things are happening there. I recommend you take a look at it. The additional thing is, again, being in Israel for a while now is not, the issue is not so much on learning AI or this or that. As you said, if you look at the World Economic Forum, I sounds like an obvious thing, but I didn't know it until recently. The head of innovation in Israel was the former also GM of Apple there. He said, there's a research that showed that 65% of the jobs that students that are now in 7th or 8th grades will take when they join the workplace haven't been invented yet. So if you think really about it, it's like, how do you train somebody in the education system for something that hasn't been invented, right? And again, the only way to do that is you teach them to be adaptable. And I think that if you look at the education system in Israel, if you look by the OECD standards, it's not horrible, but it's not one of the best. It's okay. And then you see all these people bring this innovation and say, how do you make that jump eventually to the, and the reality is that it's not just the formal education, but it's also the entrepreneurial mindset, I went back to Microsoft, and Satya coming from India was very different than Steve Ballmer, and he brought all the growth mindsets and from different things, and it sounded at the beginning like very fluffy, but then we realized this is what the company really needs now. It needs people to not be comfortable with doing the things they're doing. We got to a point where the company was still innovating, but it was decreasing in terms of the growth. And the reason is, maybe there was some diversity, but people are not challenging each other too much. When everybody agrees, like there was a Jack Welch who said, if all the board agrees with my suggestion, I can fire all of them because I can just do what I want. So I hope they will disagree. And I think that's what's missing in education in Brazil. I think we are still very polite and we are afraid to offend people and we like to agree to be nice. But that's terrible because you cannot innovate if you don't challenge, if you don't disagree. And you can disagree respectfully, but it's okay to disagree and learn. I don't need to be right. I hope I'm wrong. I'm afraid I'm right because then I will not learn. And I think this is what's missing. It's the chutzpah, the culture of let's grow. I want to go beyond what I already know and not be happy with my current state.
Good. We are already out of time, but maybe we can put the Menti online. We have some people online, right? And see what are the feedbacks and also from the people that are here. So this is a QR code. People from the room want to give us some highlights on the session and the people who are online as well. Meanwhile, I would
Should we vote?
Yeah, sure. Meanwhile, I'd like to thank Benny, Tushar, and Fabio for the great conversation. We could go all the morning talking about AI. It's such an interesting topic, right?
As we are waiting, Rodrigo, as we are waiting, maybe if I can add one last message from my side. I think interesting session. Thank you for the opportunity. Being on the technology side, I just want to provoke to the leaders who are listening this and the future leaders, maybe students listening this. Technology is advancing a lot. The power of computation is becoming cheap. The storage terabytes is becoming cheap. So the challenges which we used to have 20 years back, 10 years back on AI algorithms, of power hungry algorithms to utilize the bandwidth is now available with less cost. So I would just say, let's leverage AI. Let's really harness innovation through AI. Thank you very much.
Very good. Let's see what we have. Thais. So, takeaways of the session. Olhar para o futuro, ski, technology, AI data. I love India, it's amazing. Brave innovation world. We love Israel too, Benny, don't be jealous. Really good. So thank everybody from home also, the online crew. Thank you so much. And now we're going to do a break and we're going to be back for the next session that is about cultural change. Good, very good.
Thank you. Thank you.